If you grow your own seeds indoors for flowers or for vegetables for your own garden, then you already have most of the things that you need to grow your own microgreens at home. A few years ago, when I decided to grow my own microgreens, I had a lot of questions. Can I use the soil that I use for my plants? Are my lights okay? Do I need any special type of seeds? So today I gather a bunch of questions that I have been getting about growing microgreens at home in your own space. And hopefully after this video, you get a better idea on how easy it is to grow your own at home. Today I am going to try two kinds of microgreens that I haven't started before. These right here are carrot microgreens. I have no clue how they're going to turn out, but also I have some amaranth. And I am pretty sure that these guys are at least a year old. I got plenty of seed. Now, carrots are about 17 days to harvest, and I think amaranth is about 14 days, something like that. So they're really, really close in time for harvesting. I am going to be using some coconut coir, however you say it, it's fine, this stuff. I am going to try a big size, a 10 by 10 size container for the carrots, and I am going to do a smaller container for amaranth. I was trying to check how old the seeds were because I did not try this variety last year and I can't remember now, but I'm sure the seeds are fine. Seeds are fine. This is the size that I'm going to use. This is the 5 by 5. I'm going to use this guys for amaranth, and I am just going to use this little guy here, one without holes, to push the soil for starting the microgreens. The first question is, do microgreens need sunlight or can I grow them inside? As I said in the beginning of this video, if you have lights, if you have containers, if you have some sort of place where you grow your own seeds at home, then you already have what you need to grow microgreens at home. They don't require any special lighting. They don't require any special soil. As long as you have a nice warm room with plenty of even lighting, then you are good to go. Now, sometimes a window may help, and I know a lot of people that grow them by a window, and I think that those get decent results. I have never tried just by using a window light. If you're one of those people that grow microgreens using a window light, let me know in the comments how they work out for you. What I'm doing here is that I am just trying to make sure that my medium that I'm using is nice and even, because the seeds, I am just going to place the seeds on top of it. So I need everything to be as flat as possible. So now that I have my trays ready, I am going to give them a little bit of spray just to make sure that everything is nice and moist. This month I am doing a bunch of experiments with soils and microgreens, so I kind of have a mess in my room. This is perfect. Now, what I noticed when I had been using coconut coir is that it takes a second for the water to be completely absorbed. This is totally fine. Give it a minute. The water will be absorbed by the medium. Quick pause here. I think it's a great spot to mention that the trays and the pots that I'm using today are from Boots to a Farmer, and they are the ones sponsoring this video. For the last 7 years, I had been slowly building my own collection of pots and trays because I just want to buy them once and be done with it. I don't want to be dealing with broken trays, broken plastic, kind of everywhere in my backyard. And when I discovered Bootstrap Farmers about 6-7 years ago, they changed my life. I love how sturdy they are. They hold up really, really well. And I don't have to replace them every season. And the colors, I just love all the colors. All the colorful containers that you see, the pots and the trays and the different sizes that I have here in my grow room, they are from Bootstrap Farmer. And I am very honored that they decided to work with me this coming year to support some of my videos because I am just going to use their containers whether they pay me or not. So if you're looking for containers that last, that they are built to last, that they are of great quality, they're made in the USA, definitely check their website. I am going to leave information below where you can find them. And if you have been using their pots and trays already, let me know how you like them. What is your favorite color? Thank you so much, Bootstrap Farmer, for sponsoring this video. Perfect. All right, so we're going to start with amaranth. Now, normally you want to measure the seed, the amount of seed that you apply to each container, depending if you're using a 5x5, a 10x10, or a 10x20 tray. You want to make sure that you have the right amount of seed. I am not going to do that for my own, ones are so tiny, for my own family. I am okay if I go beneath the amount of seeds that I need or if I go over it. What I'm going to make sure is that I completely get cover the area that I'm working with. Now, amaranth seeds are so tiny. So I do want to make sure that I cover the area completely. I'm just waiting for these guys to completely absorb the water. Don't know if you can really see inside there. They're so tiny. So very carefully, I'm just gonna grab. I am going to try to just spread them evenly. Now the next question is, how long do they take to grow? How long do microgreens take to grow? And the answer for that is that it just depends on the seeds, on the microgreens that you're trying to grow. Things like broccoli, cantaloupe, basil, they are ready in a very short amount of time. Some of them, they can go from a week to 10 days. And some of them, especially the one that I'm thinking, cilantro, it took 21 days for me to grow it completely. So it's just going to depend. Some seeds do take a little bit longer to germinate, to get growing to the size that you want them to harvest. Okay, this should be really, really good. I don't feel like I'm overdoing it. I feel like I have my areas nice and covered. So these are perfect. Perfect. So these are amaranth and carrots. Now some of you are asking, are microgreens just baby sprouts? And not exactly. Sprouts grow in water and you eat the whole thing. The roots, the seed covering, everything. Now, I am personally not the biggest fan of sprouts. That is just a personal preference, but I do enjoy microgreens. And microgreens are really just the stem and a couple of leaves that grow from the seed. That's the only part that you harvest and then you eat. The stem that it's attached very close to the root, it's mostly kept with everything that stays in the soil. And some people may disagree. I prefer, honestly, to grow microgreens. I tried sprouts. It just was a moldy mess for me. I didn't give it enough time, but microgreens, I mean, they were so easy to try for me the first time that I tried them that really, it's no brainer. Looks very, very good already. Now I am going to add like a couple of extra seeds here and there because these seeds are old. They're only about a year older than I will want them to be, so I think they will be fine. So now that I have my seeds covering the top of these containers, I am not going to cover with soil. I am going to give them a little bit of water again. And the seeds are so small, I am not going to cover them with soil. I have seen people that grow amaranth and carrots that do cover the seeds. I am not going to do it, and hopefully they'll be fine. This thing is very powerful, so I'm just going to very gently cover the seeds. And I'm going to make sure not to overdo it. Another question that I had regarding microgreens is that if I needed special soil. Do I need special soil to grow the microgreens? But also another question that I got was if I could grow microgreens without any soil. And the question regarding the soil is you don't need any special soil to grow microgreens. Anything fluffy, anything of good quality, either potting mix, even a seed starting mix, or is in this case, coconut coir are great mediums for you to use to grow microgreens. You can also use a paper towel. You can use a hemp mat. I am currently doing this experiment for myself, trying 5 different ways to grow microgreens. I am still going through it because the microgreens that I have grown in there, they're not quite there yet. I am using a potting mix. I am using coconut coir. I am using a paper towel. I am using a container with nothing at the bottom, just the seeds placed on top of the container. And I'm also using a hemp mat. I can tell you right now, I checked on them this morning, and the containers that had nothing as a median, as a foundation, as a base, I totally failed with those because I added the same amount of water that I did for the containers that I had the potting mix or the other mediums, and I guess I didn't realize how easy mold was going to be growing if I didn't have anything there. If I have just the seeds with a little bit of water around it, it was just the great conditions for mold to show. And it did. It was actually kind of nasty, and I noticed by day 2, I believe that we are about day 4 or so, I noticed by day 2 a smell. And I knew something wasn't right, but there was nothing visible, and I just waited. And day 4, the container where I added a little bit too much water was definitely moldy, and it sucks because I really wanted to try and see if I could grow those. But if you're using no foundation, no medium, be careful on the amount of water that you use because you could get mold pretty easily. Now, the containers that had the potting mix or the other mediums, they have a foundation that absorbs that water that I'm giving it on a daily basis. And I have no problems with that. So no, you don't need any special soil. And also you can grow it without any soil, and you can use different types of mediums. And another question with that was, why do microgreens get moldy? And as I just mentioned, too much water, not enough ventilation, it's definitely the place where mold's going to grow. So keep an eye on the amount of water that you give them. They don't need to stay wet the whole time, but they just need a little bit of moisture to get that seed to germinate. Do microgreens regrow after cutting? Now, most of them don't regrow. They're just a one-time harvest and they're done. You can reuse the medium that you're using if it's reusable, or you can just get rid of the soil. You can throw them outside in your garden beds and you get to start over growing the same seed or growing a different variety of seed. But I have heard that peas are one of the few that sometimes give you a second harvest, but it's usually smaller and a little bit slower than the first time around. And some of you ask, what do I even eat microgreens with? Personally, I like them in salads, as toppings for tacos or soups. You can use them in your smoothies. You can add them to any of your daily breakfasts. However you eat your tiny, tiny baby greens. And I know some people are gonna get to me, they're not baby greens. They just add nutrition to your dishes. And it's a great way for you to get the vitamins that normally you don't get. And like I say, they're so easy to grow. If you have any experience growing any seeds indoors for your own garden, you already have an advantage. Now, why do some seeds need a blackout period? And in the world of microgreens, a blackout period is basically what it sounds like, a time of darkness. Normally, when these seeds that I am growing here, when they start getting to the point where the seeds have germinated enough, I am going to cover this with a black tray that's going to push the seed to get taller, to get growing. And the main reason for that is to make that separation, to make them a little bit taller, to get them leggy basically. And that helps to get bigger microgreens, but also it's easier when you harvest the microgreens because they're going to be so small, they're going to be really close to your base of soil that it's going to be hard to harvest. So that period of dark is going to be super, super helpful. So now that I spray my seeds with water, they're nicely and moist in there, I am going to place a tray on top of it to make sure that the seeds are touching the ground. When the seeds start to germinate, the roots are going to be pushed to grow down, attaching themselves to the soil. Now what I'm going to do is that I am going to add a little bit of weight, maybe a couple of books, nothing super heavy, but just enough pressure that the seed pushes the roots, that the roots push themselves to grow into the ground. And I am going to be checking the seeds every day, probably twice a day, to make sure that they don't completely dry, to make sure that they have plenty of moist. And hopefully in a few days we can get some germination. When I see about 80 or so % of the seeds here germinating, I am going to get rid of these smaller trays, and I am going to get a 10 by 20 black tray that I am going to put upside down, covering the seeds completely. And I am going to give them a period of darkness, a blackout period. So when they get plenty tall, I can uncover them and then I can move them into my LED lights, underneath my LED lights. Even though I have my lights back there, I have timers where I can easily turn on the lights for these seeds right now. They really don't need it. The lights or the seeds don't need any light to germinate. Right now, the best thing that I can do for these seeds is provide them with warm temperatures and to give them plenty of moist, not too much water because they could easily get moldy. And here in a few days, like I'd say, they're going to start the blackout period. It's not until they're done with the blackout period that's when they're going to need the light. That's when they're going to start to green up and fully develop into microgreens. Are some microgreens spicy or sweet? And this is going to depend entirely on what you're growing. For example, cantaloupe, which I am trying for the first time back there, it's supposed to be sweet, but if you grow radish or arugula, those are going to be kind of on the spicy side. And in my experience, basil, if you let it go a little bit past the time of harvest, it's going to get a little bit more on the minty side. So each different seed is going to get its own flavor depending on what you're growing. Why do some microgreens show up completely yellow at first? And the answer for that is because they don't really have any light to support them. They don't have that goodness to get nice and green. The seeds that I have here right now, they're not going to be exposed to light. So when they start germinating, they're going to be completely completely yellow. Although I think that amaranth might be a little bit on the red side, but I don't know about that yet. This is my first time growing it, so I'm not completely sure what color they'll be. But once I uncover them, once I expose them to my LED lights, they're going to completely turn into a lovely, lovely green color. Some of you ask, why are some microgreen seeds so expensive? And I mean, the simple answer is because you get lots and lots of seeds. In this container that I use open of amaranth seeds, I got 1 ounce in weight of seeds. Now, how many seeds do you think that I get? How many? I'm going to ask Google that question. Okay, Google said that in 1 ounce, the average amount of amaranth seeds are about 27 to 48,000 seeds. Thousands. So that's a lot of seeds. I honestly cannot remember how much I paid for this. I'm going to see if I can find it and I'm going to put it on the screen exactly how much this package of 1 ounce of amaranth seed costs. But you're getting quality seeds and you're getting a lot of seeds, more than you get in regular packages. Now, if you want to spend the money and get single packages to fill a small containers, it's going to be super expensive. So if you're starting into growing microgreens, if you want to save a little bit of money, definitely get the bulk items, get the packages that are marketed for growing for microgreens. They are the same seeds really that you're growing for your own garden. This amaranth type is probably the one that I could grow outside for my cut flowers, but getting them as microgreens, I save a lot of money doing that. Can I grow different types of microgreens in the same tray? Yes, you can. However, you need to make sure that you're growing the varieties that take about the same time for harvest time. For example, if you have this container and you have cilantro seeds, they take about 21 days for completely harvest. And then you have broccoli, they only take about 7 to 9 days to harvest. They're not going to be convenient for each other. Cilantro is going to take forever to germinate. By the time the cilantro is ready to be uncovered, the broccoli is going to be already ready to harvest. So it's going to be super inconvenient for you to grow those two types of seeds. But I'm going to try to find a video of the seeds that I grew in, I believe it was a whole tray, a whole 10 by 20 tray of varieties of seeds that grew about the same time, that took about the same time to harvest time, and they look amazing. I am glad that I did it, but definitely check the seeds that you have, check how long they take to germinate, and go for it. The best thing that you can do is just to try them in your own place, see if that works. I actually thought about this, but I'm already too late for Christmas. I actually already thought about growing maybe like a smaller 10 by 10 tray and having like 2 different types of microgreens growing and giving those as a nice, like a Christmas or holiday gift. But obviously I thought about it too long and it's not gonna happen. Another question is, why do microgreens fall over when they look healthy, when they're ready to harvest? And for me, that happened for 2 reasons. One, because they weren't getting plenty of light. If you have a smaller light, if you have your trays of microgreens pushed all the way to the side where they're not getting sufficient light, they're going to do that. They're just not going to make it. And 2 is because they need water. And for me, that was my biggest sign when I was growing microgreens a couple of years ago, when I had 3 or 4 trays at the time, and I knew the time. I knew that they needed water when I saw a little bit of the side falling over, and they were so healthy. They were fine as soon as I gave them water. For me, lack of light and lack of water. Another question is, how deep should the soil or medium be for growing microgreens? Again, you don't need that much. The seeds that I have here of amaranth, they are not going to grow for too long. They're going to only stay here for about 10-15 days. So they don't need super deep amount of soil. I will say between 1/2 inch to 1 inch tops is plenty. Is growing microgreens worth the effort? For me, yes. For you, you're gonna have to decide. If I go to the store and I buy a small container of microgreens and I check this, it doesn't matter the variety, I am paying about $5-8 for a small thing, like a very small container. Here, I am probably going to harvest enough for 2, maybe even 3 of those containers. To me, that is worth it. But not only that, for these guys right here, I know exactly what I put in it. I know exactly what kind of soil, what kind of water I gave them. So it makes me feel better about eating this, about adding them to any of my meals. Do I really need to soak the seeds before I start the microgreens? I personally do not soak any of the seeds here. I did a couple of years ago when I did my whole experiment with the big tray where I had different seeds growing there. And I wish now that I would have done some seeds that were soaked and some that weren't, because I would have been able to see the difference myself. Now, I have watched videos from other people that actually do this for a business. They grow microgreen for their own businesses, and they have done experiments, and most of the time soaking the seeds doesn't really help with how big they get or how easy they germinate. I believe the biggest thing when it comes to soaking the seeds is that they help for that hull, the coating of the seed, the hard part outside of the seed, to get off of the green when it's fully germinated. Some seeds like cilantro and sunflowers, if the if the hull gets a little bit, the coating of the seeds gets a little bit hard, it may be hard for those microgreens to push the coating out of it. And sometimes you will see that if you're growing sunflowers, sometimes you will see the seed coatings on top of those microgreens. I believe that soaking the seeds helps with that because it softens the coating, but I don't believe that it helps with how healthy or how quicker they get to a harvest time. But I could be wrong because I only grow my microgreens around winter time. I don't do it throughout the year. I definitely don't do this as a business. This is just for fun, for myself at home. So I don't do a lot of testing, but it's definitely something worth looking into it. And there are a lot of videos out there on YouTube from people that do this as a living. Again, this is just fun for me, so I am just sharing what I know from my own experience. So this is it for this video. I mentioned that I needed to add weight. This is a really heavy pot. Perfect. My dog, please ignore him, he's going crazy. And this is a speaker. This is perfect for the weight for this size. Look at this, very professional, very professional. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. If you have any questions or if you are a professional growing microgreens and you want to correct me, just leave me a note in the comments. I appreciate it. I will see you on the next time.